The most valuable asset in the world is currently being stolen from you, and you are likely handing it over with a smile. It isn't your money. It isn't your data. It's your perception of a single Tuesday. Most people believe that time is a linear resource, a steady stream of seconds that we simply inhabit. We talk about saving time, spending time, or wasting time as if it were currency sitting in a bank account. But time is not a currency. Currency can be printed. Currency can be recovered. Time is a decaying orbit. Every high performer you admire, the hedge fund manager, the tech founder, the elite athlete, understands a cold mathematical truth that you have been conditioned to ignore. They don't have more hours than you. They just refuse to live in the same version of reality that you do. While you are trying to manage your calendar, they are managing their cognitive sovereignty. The gap between where you are and where they are isn't a matter of effort, it's a matter of architecture. We've been told that the secret to success is working harder, waking up earlier, or drinking more caffeine. That is a lie sold to people who are destined to stay in the middle. If hard work were the primary variable, the person working 3 manual labor jobs would be the wealthiest person in the city. They aren't. To master your 24 hours, you have to stop looking at the clock and start looking at the cage. The modern world is designed to ensure you never have a spare second to think. Your smartphone is a slot machine designed by the most brilliant psychological engineers in history to capture your dopamine loops. Your workspace is a minefield of notifications. Your social circle is a feedback loop of mediocrity. We live in a state of continuous partial attention. You think you are choosing to check your email, but you are actually responding to a digital lash. Most people spend their entire lives in a reactive crouch. They wake up to an alarm, a violent intrusion of noise, and immediately check their phone. In that one gesture, they have surrendered the first hour of their day to the agendas of strangers. You are reading news you can't influence, looking at photos of people you don't like, and responding to demands you didn't invite. By 8 a.m., your willpower is already depleted. You haven't even started your work, and you've already lost the battle for your mind. This is the hidden tax on the modern soul. We feel busy, but we aren't productive. We feel exhausted, but we haven't moved the needle on our long-term goals. We are running on a treadmill that someone else built, wondering why the scenery never changes. The high performer looks at this chaos and sees a systemic failure. They understand that the human brain was not evolved to handle the sheer volume of inputs we force upon it. When you try to do everything, you end up doing nothing of consequence. This is the paradox of the 24 hours. To achieve more, you have to be willing to do significantly less. But doing less is terrifying in a culture that worships the grind. If you aren't stressed, you feel like you're failing. If you aren't overwhelmed, you feel like you're lazy. The system has convinced you that your exhaustion is a badge of honor. In reality, it's a symptom of your defeat. Think of your energy like a battery with a fixed capacity. Every decision you make, no matter how small, drains that battery. What should I wear today? What should I eat for lunch? Should I reply to this comment? Each of these is a leak in your system. By the time you sit down to do the deep, difficult work that actually generates wealth or moves your career forward, your battery is at 10%. You are trying to build a cathedral with a flashlight that is flickering out. High performers don't just manage their time, they eliminate the need for decisions. They automate the mundane so they can obsess over the meaningful. This is why you see the same gray t-shirt on a billionaire, or the same breakfast every morning. It's not a lack of imagination. It's a ruthless conservation of cognitive energy. They treat their focus like a high-stakes investment portfolio. If an activity doesn't offer an asymmetric return on their time, they don't just put it off. They kill it. Most people operate on a 1-to-1 ratio. 1 hour of work equals 1 hour of output. High performers look for leverage. They look for the 1 hour of work that creates 1,000 hours of value. This requires a level of boredom that most people find unbearable. To master 24 hours, you must be comfortable with the silence that occurs when you stop responding to the noise. The system wants you noisy. The system wants you frantic. Because frantic people are easy to sell to. Frantic people are easy to control. If you are calm and focused, you are dangerous to the status quo. Let's look at the cold, hard math of a human life. If you live to be 80, you have about 4,000 weeks. That sounds like a lot until you realize you've already spent 2,000 of them. Now break down a single day, 24 hours, 8 are gone for sleep. You can't negotiate that without losing your mind. 2 are gone for biological maintenance, eating, showering, existing. Maybe 2 more for commuting or chores. You are left with 12 hours of potential. But here is the catch. The human brain is only capable of about 4 hours of true high-intensity cognitive work per day. Beyond that, you are just pushing papers. You are performing the act of being busy. So your entire life, your entire legacy, your entire financial future comes down to how you protect those 4 hours. Most people take those 4 hours of peak mental clarity and give them to their boss, or worse, to Instagram. They give their best selves to the lowest bidder. Then they take their leftovers, the mental scraps at the end of the day, and try to use them to build their own dreams. It never works. You cannot build a kingdom on leftovers. If you spend your best hours answering emails, you're essentially saying that other people's tiny problems are more important than your big life. The compounding effect of this mistake is devastating. If you lose just 2 hours a day to meaningless distractions, that adds up to 730 hours a year. Over a decade, that's nearly an entire year of waking life vanished into a digital void. You didn't lack the time to start that business, or write that book, or master that skill. You simply gave that year away in 5-minute increments. We are being paper cut to death by the trivial. The difference between the elite and the average is the ability to say no to things that are good so they can say yes to things that are great. But saying no is a social risk. It makes you the difficult one. It makes you the outsider. The math doesn't care about your social standing. The math only cares about the allocation of the resource, and the resource is running out every second this video plays. If you go on social media, you will see a version of time management that looks like a high-octane movie trailer. Ice baths at 4 a.m., green juices, color-coded planners, the hustle aesthetic. It's a performance. It's an industry built on selling you the feeling of progress without the actual results. The productivity world is a trap for the ambitious. They want you to buy more apps, more journals, and more courses on how to be efficient. But efficiency is often just doing useless things faster. The high performer doesn't care about efficiency. They care about effectiveness. There is a massive difference between doing things right and doing the right things. The hype tells you to fill every minute of your day. If you have a gap in your calendar, you should be networking, or listening to a podcast at 2x speed, or optimizing. This is a recipe for a shallow life. Real breakthroughs don't happen when you are frantic. They happen in the white space. They happen when you have the luxury of thinking deeply about a single problem for hours without interruption. The modern world has pathologized thinking. If you are sitting in a chair just thinking, people ask you what's wrong. But that is where the wealth is created. The illusion of the grind is that more volume equals more success. In the digital age, this is demonstrably false. We are moving from an economy of labor to an economy of judgment. A single good decision can be worth millions. 1,000 hours of mediocre labor can be worth nothing. To have good judgment, you need a clear head. To have a clear head, you need to stop being a slave to your schedule. The high performer isn't the one with the most packed calendar. They are the one with the most control over their time. They might only work 3 hours a day, but in those 3 hours, they move mountains. The rest of the time, they are resting, reflecting, or observing. They understand that you can't see the forest if you are constantly hacking at the trees. The hype sells you the tools. The reality is about the philosophy. You don't need a new app. You need a new set of values. You have to be willing to be unproductive in the eyes of society to be truly productive in the eyes of history. Why is this so hard? Why, even after hearing the math and the logic, will most people go back to their phones the second this ends? Because time management isn't a logistical problem, it's a psychological one. We use busyness as a defense mechanism. If we are always busy, we never have to face the uncomfortable questions. Am I actually good at what I do? Is this relationship working? What am I actually doing with my life? Busyness is a form of procrastination. It's a way to avoid the work that actually matters. Deep work is painful. It requires a level of focus that feels like physical strain. It's much easier to clear your inbox. It feels like you've accomplished something, but you haven't. You've just cleared the path for more emails. We are addicted to the small win, the notification, the done checkmark. These are hits of dopamine that mask our lack of real progress. The high performer has developed the emotional regulation to sit with the discomfort of a difficult task. They don't wait for motivation. Motivation is a feeling, and feelings are unreliable. They rely on systems. But even a perfect system will fail if you are afraid of what you might discover in the silence. Most people are terrified of their own 24 hours because, without the noise, they are left with themselves. And they don't like what they see. They see the wasted years. They see the potential they've let rot, so they turn the music back up. They open the app. They take on more projects. They drown out the truth with more doing. Mastering your time requires a brutal honesty that most are not prepared for. It requires acknowledging that you are the architect of your own overwhelm. You aren't a victim of your schedule. You are the volunteer. Every time you say, I don't have time, what you are actually saying is, this is not a priority. If someone offered you $1 million to find 5 hours this week, you would find them. The time exists, the desire does not, and that is the most uncomfortable truth of all. You have the same 24 hours as the people you envy. You just value your comfort more than your goals. We are all standing on a sinking ship. The seconds are the water rising around our ankles. You can spend your time rearranging the deck chairs, making sure everything looks perfect, feeling busy, feeling productive, or you can look for the lifeboat. The lifeboat is the realization that your attention is the only thing you truly own. Everything else can be taken away. Your money can be inflated. Your house can be lost. Your reputation can be destroyed. But your ability to choose where you point your mind in this moment is the ultimate sovereignty. Most people will spend their entire lives as a ghost in their own body, drifting from one distraction to the next, wondering where the decades went. They will die with their best work still inside them because they were too busy responding to the trivialities of the day. You have 24 hours ahead of you. The sun will rise and the sun will set, regardless of what you do. The world will try to steal those hours from you. It will try to convince you that you owe it your attention. It will try to make you feel guilty for being unavailable. But remember the math. Remember the 4,000 weeks. The high performer isn't a superhero. They are just someone who decided that their life was worth more than a notification. They are someone who realized that to master the 24 hours, you first have to master the urge to escape them. So, tomorrow morning, when the world comes knocking on your digital door, what will you do? Will you open it and let the chaos in, or will you stay in the room and do the work? The clock is ticking. It doesn't care if you're ready. It doesn't care if you're tired. It just moves. And eventually it stops. What will you have to show for the time that's left? Or more importantly, who are you really when you have nothing left to distract you? How many of your remaining hours are you willing to give away for free?